South Jersey's official play-by-play home of the Eagles, Sixers, and Flyers.
At 0 point would I ever consider not being a fan of the team.
97.3 ESPN, WENJ, WENJ HD, Millville, Atlantic City. A Town Square media station serving all of South Jersey.
Five o'clock hour of the Sports Bash. Josh Hennig driving you the rest of the way home. Now, this is something I'm familiar with. Doing a power hour. I mean, I only did this for 5 years on 97. Actually, more than 5 years, because we did 1 to 2 for years before the Sports Bash. So, what is that? Like 7 years of power hours here on 97.3 ESPN? We'll check in on the text board this hour at 609-403-0973 as Mike Gill. He's on his way to a wedding. So I got you the rest of the way home. Happy Hour Friday. Let me know what you guys are consuming right now this weekend. Phillies spring training split squads today. Someone texted me earlier today. Why are the Phillies playing the Tigers and the Marlins? Well, because they can. Sixers and Flyers both won in dramatic fashion last night. Eagles are still in the news cycle at the NFL Combine. All that and more this hour. And maybe if I have time, I'll squeeze in some Elimination Chamber conversation. But right now, joining us on the show, friend of me, Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN, Andy McNamara. Andy, how many times have you done a power hour with me? I mean, come on.
It's been a minute, brother, but hey, we're taking the people home before you get your Friday night beverage, maybe your beer, maybe a little whiskey, sitting back, enjoying whatever sport. And I know what I've been enjoying all day, Josh. You're either polarized, you love it, or you hate it, and I'm on the love it side. I've been watching NFL Combine, Underwear Olympics all day. I'm pumped.
I love it. Absolutely love it. Yeah, the Underwear Olympics have been going on all week, and that's kind of where we're going to start because – you know, yesterday, I think the story of the week, and probably the weekend, is going to be what happened yesterday, right? You know, and I think that for those who didn't, like you said, if you're not watching it, right, you don't know that Sonny Styles, right? You know, Sonny Styles basically had the combine of combines yesterday.
Yeah.
And so, you know, looking around the NFL, we know quarterbacks always get drafted, right? Oh, quarterback is always, Mendoza, this and that. But who's getting 2, 3, 4, 5 is totally up for debate. And for a team like the Eagles, Andy, they are watching very closely because the Eagles are in a position in the draft to have someone fall to them. Mm-hmm. And if a guy like Sonny Styles jumps up high enough, he may knock somebody down that the Eagles might want or other teams might want from the 15 to 25 range.
Well, that's the thing. With the Combine, I always take it as this, and I have my handwritten notes for years past, and it's not the be-all, end-all. But it's also foolish to write it off. I have friends who are like, I don't watch that crap. It's like, okay, well, then you're missing things, potentially, right? Now, does it matter that Sonny Styles can, from a standing position, jump out of a room like in obscene athleticism on the football field? No. Does it matter he can jump super high? Well, that might matter. Or run very fast? Yes. The bottom line is it's an added piece. Just like analytics, pick your sport, right? In analytics, it shouldn't be the deciding factor, but it has to be part of the conversation. And so now what you're looking at is Arvell Reese, Sonny Styles, Caleb Downs, who's going to be doing stuff today, is you could have 3 Buckeyes going in the top 5. Sonny Styles, who was already going to be a first-round pick, went from maybe in the teens to, Josh, legit, he could be a top 5 guy. Like, he was that good, looked that smooth, and you could have 2 Ohio State linebackers going that high. He looks like a total game changer. So what I do is I would see, let's say, a Sonny Styles workout. And I'm like, wow. Okay. Now, I knew I watched Buckeyes football a lot, so I knew it. But let's say I was like, oh, okay. And a guy jumps off the page. Then I go back and I start doing research on, okay, he impressed me. What can this show me? And sometimes it doesn't do anything, right? Sometimes a wide receiver can run really fast. Still doesn't mean he can catch the ball. Right, but it's all part of the conversation. So you're right. Sonny Styles and Arvell Reese did a lot to make their draft stock go up and earn themselves some more money.
And again, it's not that, a team like, let's say, the Eagles or a team like the Giants, the high draft pick in our area, or whoever. It's not that any of those teams are going to necessarily get overly excited, except for the fact that, one, it might knock someone down who you really want, right? And we'll get to the latest Eagles rumor right now in a minute. But also, two, these combines are very important for another reason, Andy. How many times you and I talked about game don't lie, right? How many times have we talked about a guy may look great on Saturday, but might not look as good in shorts and a t-shirt, or inverse. A guy is not as great on Saturdays, but looks too good in a shirt and a t-shirt. And you have organizations like the Bengals who will overdraft a guy like Stewart. And guess what? He was meh in college. They overdrafted him. He was the final holdout of camp, and he barely did anything this year.
I love that you brought that up, Josh, because we talked about it, I'm sure, Shamar Stewart, specifically last year, and said that exact point. Watch the tape. I knew he would have an amazing combine, but then that's where you take it and you go back like, okay, but the game didn't lie. And he was a non-fact. That guy is a lesser Jadeveon Clowney to me. Jadeveon Clowney always. How often Jadeveon Clowney? Ooh, almost got him. Oh, very close. Not quite, right? You don't do first-round talent that high for not quite. And so when you look at some of these guys, now you go back and say, let's say a Sonny Styles again we use, or Arvell Reese. And you're like, wow, that was a really great combine. Those numbers pop off the page. Then you go back and look at the tape and you see it and it's like, oh, they're also really good at playing the game. So when you add those two things in, then it's like, all right, that's where you get a riser. That's where you get someone popping up. And on the other side of it, someone trips over their own feet or something, puts up a time that's a little less than it should be. Maybe it drops them down, rightly or wrongly. And that's where a team like the Eagles, like you said, could be getting and looking at 23 like, oh, okay, this is a value play. This is somebody we could get. And I think for Philadelphia, you could go in a whole bunch of different directions. You go receiver, defense, you can never go wrong with defense, right? O-line, there's depth, not necessarily a star, but depth. So a few different directions.
And a lot of recent mock drafts have been having Kenyon Sadiq, the tight end from Oregon, mocked to the Eagles. But here's my problem, Andy. I don't think he's going to be there. I don't think he's going to be available at 23 because you look at the teams that are ahead of the Eagles that could use a tight end. I mean, for goodness sake, just look up and down the list. The Panthers, hello. Yep. The Lions, their tight end is always injured. The Jets need everything. The Bucks, they are letting Cade Otton go to free agency, right? The Ravens, they're probably letting Isaiah Likely walk in free agency. The Rams have a tight end get injured every single year. The Dolphins meet everything in their cousin at this point. So, I mean, those are just a handful of teams that are outside the top 10 that could use a tight end. So, I'm not even fully sure if he is going to make it down there. But talk to us about what you think of who most people think is the number one tight end, Kenyon Sadiq of Oregon.
Yeah, and to your point, too, with all those situations for the draft, we still have free agency to go through. So a lot of those could be, like, let's say for fun, you say Isaiah Likely away from Baltimore. Let's say he goes to Miami. Well, now Miami is not going to be in a market, right? So real quick, too, I think for the Eagles, because I did an article on the Sporting News listing, and I was focusing on the Browns sort of with David Njoku gone, a secondary one to complement Harold Fannin Jr. I think he might be an interesting fit for the Eagles, too. Max Clare of Ohio State, who you can get, Josh, in the second round. All right. So you can get he's being projected right now, which the tight ends are doing their drills today, right? Very soon as we speak in Indianapolis. So that could change a Max Clare. And that's where you look like a second and mid third round. Maybe he goes up, maybe he goes down. But at 6'5", 243, the guy's got elite explosiveness. He sometimes has some concentration drops, but I think you can coax that out. And he's got a big wingspan that I think would fit very well with the Eagles, who you could maybe swing back and get in day 2 in the second round. And all of a sudden now you're looking at it and say, okay, we got a guy who potentially could be a starter for us. And, we're not too concerned about it, right? So I don't think necessarily you have to reach or trade up for a Kenyon Sadiq per se. There's somebody like I kind of like the Max Clear fit for the Eagles a bit better.
I'll push back on you a little bit. I love Eli Stowers. I think Stowers is a guy who fits the, do you need him to block? Yes. Do you need him to catch? Yes.
Willing blocker.
Do you need to run him up the seam? Yes. Do you need him to do a counter and block around the edge on the other side of the formation? Yes. Do you need him to fight somebody to defend your quarterback? Yes. Like he checks all the boxes. For those who don't know, Stowers played at Vanderbilt. He went to Vanderbilt because he's friends with Diego Pavia. And Pavia is so short that he makes Jalen Hurts look like a super tall person. So, like, Stowers is very familiar with playing with a mobile quarterback, though. So, to me, that's why I like him.
Right, and he's definitely in the 6'4". Another guy I like who you could look at in the second to mid-third again, Sam Roosh for Stanford. I like size in my tight ends. Okay, I don't like when I see like a 6'2" tight end, Josh.
6'4" is not good enough for you?
6'4" is good. I'll take. I'm not knocking 6'4", but when I see 6'2", I'm like, what are you, fullback in between guy? Sam Roosh, Stanford, 6'5", 259, traditional Y. I'm reading from my own work here. And this is somebody who you like, who you mentioned it likes the bit of the blocking too.
Yep.
Likes to handle the dirty work, right? So you can go violent, high effort run blocker, soft hands as well. So Sam Roosh is somebody else along with Max Clear where you could go down. Again, if you don't want to spend a premium first-round pick, if you want to get a second round, maybe a third where the Eagles are picking might be a little low, a little late on both of those guys. Maybe not, depending. We know how runs go in the draft, right? But in that second, third round, you could get someone to pop up. And maybe they're not going to be a superstar, but they're going to be a functional starting caliber tight end.
I'll throw out there the one thing with Roche, though, that is, who coached him last year?
Who?
The current offensive coordinator for the Jets.
Oh.
Frank Reich.
Oh, yes. Okay, so maybe a Jets spot.
I could totally see him landing with the Jets, Jets.
So, and again, that Jets got a lot of currency, right, as far as draft capital and stuff. So
ton of currency.
They're going to be picking higher. One more name to throw at you, and it goes a late bloomer. Goes a little bit against what I was saying. My 6'5", he's 6'3", okay, 262. That's why he's going to be in the 5th to 7th round. Dallin Bentley of Utah, another guy who isn't afraid to block, very sure hands, thudding power, point of attack. So, again, depends what you're looking for, depends what happens in free agency. But this is the time I really like diving into these things. And I got a whole bunch up on the Sporting News for safeties, tight ends, wide receivers, all that stuff. Really sort of breaking down those top 3 to 5 options. Not necessarily like the top guys, because, Josh, we talk about the top guys. That's fun. I like those value guys. Harold Fannin Jr. of the Browns, who led them in receiving last year, was a 3rd-round pick. Some tiny Bowling Green. I never heard of the guy. And he pops up, right? So those are the type of guys that I like to look at and like, okay, if you don't want to or cannot get the top rated guy, who can make a difference? I think for Philadelphia, those 3 might be options at least a little bit later.
Talk with Andy McNamara, of course. He mentioned the Sporting News for all of his NFL coverage. Joining me on the Sports Bash, filling in for Mike Gill here on 97.3 ESPN. Now, the other part of this week of the Combine, Andy, is everybody's talking. Everybody's having conversations. We've already seen our first trade. Robert Saleh gets a guy that he drafted from the Jets, right? Talk about a, familiarity situation. Yeah. What I'm curious from you is, we know you're not supposed to tamper, right? Tampering. But, and I say but, we've already seen 2 guys tagged this week, right? The news came out today that George Pickens is getting tagged by the Cowboys. Earlier this week, Kyle Pitts of the Falcons. So those are 2 players who would have been big names in the market, not even getting the market. And you got to think in the back of your mind, a team like the Eagles with a Dallas Goedert, right? A team like the Bucs who have Mike Evans hitting free agency. Those are the kind of teams that are going to be very interesting to find out. How aggressive are they going to be in the free agent market?
Right. And really then what type of market is there? Personally, for the Mike Evans in Tampa Bay, that guy's going to be a career Buccaneer.
Like, you think so?
Yeah, they're going to he's going to the Hall of Fame. I bet you they figure something. He's on the tail end. He's not going to be having all the injuries. I don't think he's going to be too hot of a commodity personally as far as top dollar. I bet you they figure that one out.
Oh, see, I disagree.
Really?
I think what's going to happen is, now, my opinion, okay? I have no special insight.
Yeah.
I think that the teams that would call the Eagles about A.J. Brown are going to call about Mike Evans first.
He's so injury prone now, though. So, like, I love Hall of Famer. But, man, he just can't stay healthy. Like, and he's old. He's been around a long time. Like, I just don't think I don't think he's in that same market as an A.J. Brown. You know?
Yeah, but I keep going back to DeAndre Hopkins kept getting jobs. He was like washed beyond washed.
Yes.
Like when Mike Evans was healthy, he was still catching touchdowns at least. You know, DeAndre Hopkins couldn't catch the ball and people were signing him.
Which is wild because you get caught in fantasy football a lot with that of like name recognition and we laugh like, oh, you just picked him because that guy hasn't been good in 3 years. NFL GMs do the same thing. They're like, oh, I can squeeze the one more year out. Yeah, probably not. You know, and this is why, especially for wide receivers, the wide receiver market is, I feel it's going to be trending more towards the running back free agent market. Whereas you get your free agent running backs and on the second contract, outside of rare exceptions, Josh, it's like, it's got some trend on I can get a starter in the third round. Wide receivers, maybe not to that extent, but now you get, if you're a star a wide receiver or even a WR2 who can produce, you're hitting that market millions and millions and millions. Or there's a ton of good, especially in this draft, good wide receivers that I can get on a rookie deal. I don't want Carnell Tate, Denzel Boston, Malachi Fields, a riser from Notre Dame, Mekhi Lemon, little zippy guy, right? Like I can get good to maybe great stars much cheaper rather than getting, let's say, paying up top dollar for an A.J. Brown to Philly who's a headache. Like it blows my mind. If you're not happy in Philadelphia, where are you going to be happy? Right?
Well, I will say really quick, the whole thing depends on what your perspective is. Because are you the person who says he's a headache because he won't shut up? And then he only shuts up when he gets his targets, right? Because he was quiet when he getting all the targets, right?
Yeah.
Or do you say, hey, he's just a passionate guy. He wants to win. He's misunderstood. And we can handle that for a couple of years. Because remember, he's under contract. So if you say, hey, AJ, we're acquiring you at the end of your contract, c'est la vie. You know, and by the time his contract ends, he's hitting 31, 32. And now you're still getting him for the final prime. Because, you know, at 31, 32, 33, that's when the receiver drops off. A.J. Brown is 29. If you're a Buffalo Bills, right, is it worth it to you, for example, right, to say, I got the 26 overall pick. Whoever I can get at 26 might not be as good as A.J. Brown.
Mm-hmm. Right now, because I'm in the Super Bowl winning window now. Right. And you know what? I think you have to be very confident in your locker room, in your culture, to be able to handle a diva ego like that. That depends, right? Like, you can be ready to win. How's your culture? How's your locker room? Is there going to be somebody who can keep him in line a bit? Is there going to be somebody he will respect? You got a strong coach or a position coach? Or is it going to be walked all over? Because if that's the case, you don't want it, right? And so I think there is a place for it. One guy I want to point out, and I don't think he's getting talked about nearly enough, from the national champion, Indiana Hoosiers, Elijah Sarek, 6'2", 213. I have him up on one of my articles as the number 5. I put my top 5 wide receiver targets. I got him at number 5 because this is somebody with his hands, just incredible hands, finds the soft spots in zone coverage, red zone production coming out of everywhere. He always seems to get open, doesn't have the top end speed perhaps, and a little bit of separation struggles if he's pressed a little bit, but I think you can work that out and technique him out a little bit. But intriguing size, plenty of upside. And that's somebody that you can get again, probably in the second or third round. And this is someone who just won and has that size. I want big dudes who can move and catch the ball. And my biggest riser, Josh, and I can't wait to see him go Saturday, Malachi Fields of Notre Dame. I'm getting personally, and I'm not saying he's him. Yeah, I got to see him. a little bit of DK Metcalf vibes. 6'4", 218, a guy who's projected at for a second-round pick. Where'd DK Metcalf go? Remember Pete Carroll was taking his shirt off with him, right? When he got drafted. Malachi Fields, I'm telling you, this guy, I bet if he has a good combine, you watch him jump up into the first rounds of Notre Dame. Mark it. Malachi Fields, 6'4", 218 for the Fighting Irish.
But still, you're talking about guys you can get later in the draft.
Like, Fields might be there for the Eagles. That's what I'm saying. If he has a good combine.
What I'm saying is if you're Buffalo, if you're, let's say, the Patriots, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you are, I'm trying to think of another team that could get as in win now mode that has a receiver. I mean, I was doing this exercise. Oh, the 49ers. If you're the 49ers, right? If you're the Broncos, right? You know, there's teams out there. It's like A.J. Brown or Jordan Tyson. A.J. Brown or Denzel Boston, right? A.J. Brown or Mekhi Lemon. Like, you're taking A.J. Brown in every one of those cases. So, to me, I think that free agency is going to reveal to teams, man, these wide receivers available on the market, you know, Christian Kirk ain't saving us from anything.
No, especially this time. And let's not forget, too, we've heard plenty of rumors being scooted around of Chris Olave and Marvin Harrison Jr. being available via trade. Now, I don't know what the price tag is going to be for those guys, but my goodness, you throw them and A.J. Brown into it as far as trade possibilities. Wow. Like, out of those three, boy, man, if you're talking like, I might take Chris Olave over all of them. I really might. Based on sort of age and stuff.
Now you're letting your Ohio State bias.
Oh, my Olave. So, like, look at what Olave's been able to do with hot, steaming garbage in New Orleans.
That's
Josh.
true.
It's a crime that he went with the state. A crime that talent and Marvin Harrison Jr. in Arizona. I'm telling you, I'm hearing you can get Marvin Harrison Jr. for like third, fourth round pick. I would take that today. That guy's talent is so it infuriates me with how talented he was in college, being just wasted in Arizona with the mini-me Kyler Murray and whoever else they got jumping out there at quarterback.
Kyler ain't going to be there much longer.
Kyler's not going to be there much longer. But you get Marvin Harrison Jr., man. If I'm a team looking to win, and let's say A.J. Brown's a bit too expensive, I don't want to give up a first-round pick. Chris Olave is probably the same type of deal. What if I can get a third for Marvin Harrison Jr., a young and a flyer, and I think
if you get a third, if you can get a third from him, the Eagles might as well just call.
Absolutely. And again, we got to see who's really available, who's asking for what,
right?
Who gets signed, and who likes who in the draft. So all of these values are all subjective, right? And salaries and this and this and this and this. So there's so many what ifs that we don't know. But what I'm saying is if you can get a deal that you think is fair for an upside talent like a Marvin Harrison Jr., oh my. But to your point, A.J. Brown, if you're in hey, we're going to win right now, and A.J., we're going to get you the ball a lot, brother. And that sounds like the Buffalo Bills to me, because who else are they going to be throwing to, right? Get A.J. Brown to Buffalo makes a ton of sense. And for them, that would be probably worth a first-round pick. And if you're the Eagles, boy, you have a couple late 20s, maybe you bundle those up and go up, and maybe you get your tight end or you get somebody else you really like.
Yeah, maybe you get that offensive lineman. You know, maybe you get that O-lineman who's going to replace Lane Johnson in a year or two.
And it's a draft where there are a lot of good, not great tackles, right?
Yes.
The most overrated guy I can say right now, Francis Mauigoa. I think this guy is getting way too overhyped, Josh. He's a right tackle who's being projected to be a better guard. And in some mocks, he's being taken with the top 6. I'm not giving you a 6th pick for a guard. What? No. And he, apparently the thing is he leans. I keep seeing this. He leans too much. He gets pushed out of position. No way am I looking at Mauigoa. So that's a name. If you're an Eagles fan and you see Francis Mauigoa pop up, don't be excited about that one. But there's like Spencer Fano, Monroe Freeling. That's a riser. Watch that name, Monroe Freeling. If you're an Eagles fan and you are wanting a tackle, you hope Monroe Freeling falls over his feet at the combine here so he drops, because that guy is one of the only true left tackles in this draft who is a rising star and is getting rave reviews.
He is Andy McNamara. Check out all of his coverage of the NFL and the NFL Draft at the Sporting News at AndyMC81 on the X platform, at AndyMC Sports on Instagram. And, of course, he's also the host of the Sick Podcast. Like, subscribe, and download wherever you get your podcasts. Andy, I know we usually get you on the Saturday show, but I appreciate you jumping in for a power hour and a happy hour Friday. Do you have a recommendation for Happy Hour Friday?
Oh, like a drink?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Yes, sir. Yes, I certainly do. You can see if you're watching on the stream, I got my executive certified bourbon steward pin from Kentucky Moonshine University behind me. Yes, I like my modified old fashioned. Okay. And what you do is you get your bourbon or your whiskey. You get a shot and a half or 2 shots of it. You get a tablespoon of orange juice. You get a half tablespoon of lemon juice, and you get a tablespoon of maple syrup, and you mix it all up. Couple ice cubes in it, maybe a couple bitters. Depends what you like. You do that, that's going to ease you into the weekend, guys.
I like it. Andy, my friend, why don't you go ease into the weekend, okay?
I think I will. And watch some more Combine. We'll talk to you later, buddy.
It's multitasking. It's a little bit of both.
Yes,
yeah?
Absolutely. All right. See you, bud.
Take care, my friend. Andy McNamara joining us here on the Sports Bash, 97.3 ESPN FM, the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. We got a bunch of texts coming in just in this hour. Let me know what you're consuming. I see Jeff from Summers Point. I see a plethora of texts from Steve Ventnor coming in at 609-403-0973. Josh Hennig hanging out with you for the Power Hour and Happy Hour Friday. I've been to some places recently. I'll give you some of my recommendations of what I've been hitting up in recent weeks here for Happy Hour Friday. 97.3 ESPN FM, the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. We are streaming live on YouTube at 973 ESPN.
On 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
The Info and Weather Network. Progressive Insurance presents the Sports Flash on 97.3 ESPN. The Sixers beating the Miami Heat on Thursday night 124-117, getting 28 points from Tyrese Maxey. Joel Embiid, 26 points, 11 rebounds. Philadelphia got off to a good start, putting up 73 points in the first half. They win their third straight game. Sunday, they're in Boston to meet the Celtics. The Flyers back in action Saturday, hosting the Boston Bruins. Philadelphia with a 3-2 overtime victory Thursday night against the Rangers at Madison Square Garden. Matvei Michkov scored twice, including the game winner in OT, his 15th goal of the season. Trevor Zegras also scored. It was his 21st of the year. Philadelphia putting up 3 unanswered goals after they trailed the Rangers 2-0 in the second period. Phillies with split squad action on Friday in spring training in Florida. They fell to the Detroit Tigers in Lakeland, but beat the Miami Marlins in Clearwater. Saturday, they'll be in Dunedin to take on the Toronto Blue Jays. The sports update brought to you by Progressive. Bundle auto and home, renters or condo, and save with Progressive. I'm Tony Desiri, and that's your Sports Flash on 97.3 ESPN.
From the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network, I'm Chief Meteorologist Dan Zaro. Our 2 weekend days will offer very different weather as an Arctic cold front arrives tomorrow night. Here's what to expect. Fog is possible tonight. Could be thickened spots, and icy spots are possible too, with a low of 32 degrees. That fog lingers through tomorrow morning, then mostly sunny and mild in the afternoon, high of 54. Partly sunny with a cold wind on Sunday, high of only 40. Get weather 24/7 wherever you are. Download our free mobile app today.
We have the perfect solution for sitting in traffic.
You come with me.
The Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill just for the power hour, final hour of the show. Mike Gill will be back full power, full 4 hours Monday here on 97.3 ESPN FM. 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. Streaming live on YouTube at 97.3 ESPN. I will be back tomorrow with Hanging with Hennig here on 97.3 ESPN. But until then, we got the White Horse RV text board to check in on at 609-403-0973. White Horse RV Center in Williamstown and Galloway. Your RV adventure starts here at White Horse RV. Got a lot of texts coming in. What are you guys doing for Happy Hour Friday? Your thoughts on the Eagles, the NFL draft. You got an update for someone chiming in. The Ocean City girls basketball team has pulled off an upset. They have won 42-39 over Shawnee in the playoffs. Thanks to Jeff in Ocean City for that update. So now that's the number 14 seed, Ocean City High School, taking out Shawnee. 42-39. So congrats to the Lady Red Raiders down there with the Ocean City High School. So they move on to the second round. So thank you, Jeff in Ocean City, for that update. Bunch of texts coming in, though, throughout the day. 609-403-09. So we're going to try to get to as many as we can during the power hour here on 97.3 ESPN. Jeff Summers Point says, Josh, it is party time. I got my Bud Light and my Fireball already lined up. Jeff goes on to say, I think the Eagles need to keep Dallas Goedert. We can't afford to lose both Goddard and A.J. Brown. You know, that's a tough deal, Jeff, at Summers Point, because the Goddard situation, I think, is way more nuanced than A.J. Brown. I think A.J. Brown is just a matter of, do you keep him or do you not keep him? And that's it. I don't think there's any other layer to it. Like, I don't think there's any other well, if this happens, no, I think it literally, when it comes to a guy like A.J. Brown, it's if the Bills call and say, we'll give you a pick 26 and we'll give you a third-round pick, you're calling A.J. Brown and saying, the Bills are offering us a lot for you. We're going to move you on from you. Would you like to receive a signing bonus to make your contract a little bit less damaging for our salary cap? Yes or no? If he says no, you trade him with complete prejudice. If he says yes, you give him everything he wants and more and give him a fruit basket and send him to Buffalo. The Dallas Goedert thing, Jeff Summers, I think is way more complicated because Goddard is a guy who led your team in touchdown catches last year. But before last year, he had a long history of being injured. Dallas Goedert, for as talented as he is, how great of a guy that he is, how much of a great find he was in the NFL draft back in 2018, the reality is that before last year, the man had never started 15 games in a season. Ever. In his entire career. His previous high in his first 7 years of Philadelphia was 14. In 2021 and in 2023, he started 14 games. Ever since the Eagles moved on from Zach Ertz, here is how many games Dallas Goedert has started every year. 14, 12, 14, 10. So while he played a majority of games every year, he was injured every single year. And then in terms of the production, you had 11 touchdown catches from him last year. He didn't have 11 touchdown catches in the previous 4 years. He had 12 in the previous 5 years combined. Think about that. From 2021 to 2024, he had 12 touchdown catches. Last year, he had 11. So, Jeff, I think Jeff Summers' point, I think it's very complicated when it comes to Goddard because it's, do you look at Goddard as a safety valve for Jalen Hurts? Do you believe Goddard is the guy who caught 11 touchdowns last year? Or the guy who caught 3 touchdowns in 2022? Again, Dallas Goedert, every year of his career, touchdown catches. 4, 5, 3, 4, 3, 3, 2, and then 11. Am I supposed to believe all of a sudden he's this like massive weapon in the passing game? I'm not going to treat 1 year as the end-all be-all. But like you said, if you're moving on from A.J. Brown, are you really moving on from Dallas Goedert too? Especially when Eagles history, there's a lineage. Outside of Cam Latu, nobody is guaranteed to come back to this team next year at the tight end position. In years past, you had a handoff. You went from Chad Lewis to L.J. Smith, and then from Smith to Brent Selleck. Selleck to Zach Ertz. Ertz to Dallas Goedert. There is no heir apparent. So now you need to draft a tight end because you thought Calcaterra was going to be that guy, and Calcaterra has been as injured just as often as Dallas Goedert. So I think the Goddard thing is way more complicated than A.J. Brown. I think A.J. Brown is very simple. Someone comes and blows your socks off. You say, cool, man. We'll make that work. We'll draft a wide receiver. We'll sign a couple guys at free agency. Dallas Goedert, way more complicated because if you don't bring him back and then you draft a guy, there's no guarantee that that guy is going to be any good. And when it comes to the free agent market, I mean, you heard Andy McNamara mention Isaiah Likely, but is anybody getting excited about that guy? Like, is that guy an adequate replacement for a Dallas Goedert? Here are the free agents. David Njoku, who has been as injured, if not more injured than Dallas Goedert. Taysom Hill, no thank you. Tyler Higbee, not getting excited. He's also older than Goddard is by 2 years. Zach Ertz. Zach Ertz will come back and re-sign when he's ready to retire. Also, he's coming off a pretty serious knee injury. Austin Hooper. I mean, the Patriots barely used him. How are you going to use him? Foster Moreau. Thanks, but no thanks. Tyler Conklin. No one's getting excited about him. Noah Fant. That's a good joke. Darren Waller. No one knows how serious Darren Waller is about even playing football at this point. Who are you taking of these guys? Isaiah Likely is the only name. And no one is jumping up and down about him. If you let Goddard walk and you sign Isaiah Likely and then you draft a tight end, any of the guys that Andy McNamara and I mentioned earlier here on the Sports Bash, Josh Hennig filling for Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN, I don't know if a guy like Jeff at Summers Point is going to feel that great about those moves. Chris in Northfield chimes in on the Whitehorse RV text board at 69403-0973. Happy Hour Friday. I am having a peach ring sour ale. That's an interesting one. I got to look this up. Peach ring sour ale. It's a 6.7%. So it's a solid. See, I always tell people, this is where Mike Gill and I are different. Okay? I always look at the percentage in tiers. Okay? To me, you have your 2. If you have something that's between 2 and like 5%, that's your, we're chilling at the beach. That's what that usually is, right? Then you have your between 5 and like 7.5%. That's your please drink responsibly, but enjoy yourself. After that, anything above like 8 and up, it's a, do you know what you're doing? Have you had anything to eat? Give me your keys or stay at home. So to me, that's how I look at the percentages. Let's see here. Peach ring sour ale. Here it is on Untapped. I found it. I mean, it's got a solid rating. It's got a 3.8 on the Untapped. A couple people have consumed it multiple times. So apparently it's one of those, if you've had it once, you probably had it multiple times. All right. That's not a bad recommendation there, Chris. I would definitely give that a check out. Thanks to Chris in Northfield chiming in the Whitehorse RV text board at 609-403-0973. Chris in Northfield, he's having the peach ring sour ale. Jeff at Sarge Point's having Bud Light and Fireballs for a happy hour Friday. What are you getting into this weekend? Let me know. Text board is open, 609-403-0973. Before we hit the break, I did want to squeeze in Steve from Ventnor has been messaging up a storm. He has a couple texts that we do want to zero in on. He says, I would love Marvis and Harrison Jr. He says, I think the Eagles will probably draft the receiver, but Harrison Jr. will be an amazing addition for the Eagles. In reality, the only free agent that's a fit for the Eagles at this point is Raheed Shaheed. Take the top off, open things underneath. Be a dynamic guy for the Eagles. I think Raheed Shaheed is going to get a ton of suitors. I think he'll be out of the Eagles market. But listen, if you're telling me, as Andy McNamara says, the Cardinals will be willing to dump Marvin Harrison Jr., I'm 100% making that call if I'm the Eagles. Now, again, if the choices are A.J. Brown, Marvin Harrison Jr., or Chris Olave, I think A.J. Brown is still the best of that bunch, not just because he's a proven commodity, but because of just who he is in general. But the only problem with Harrison Jr. is the injuries, right? Last year, he was injured a lot. He was not healthy at all. But his rookie year, he was very productive. 8 touchdowns that year, just under 1,000 yards. So, to me, if you told me I trade A.J. Brown for a first and a third, and then I flip that third to get Marvin Harrison Jr., that's a win-win chicken dinner. Package my 2 first-round picks, move up in the first round, get an O lineman, call it a day. Howie Roseman, here's your cigar, buddy. Pretty much how I would work it. but I'm not the GM. And I think we're all better off with Howie Roseman as the GM. He's arguably the best. He is the best of the best. Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill. Happy Hour Friday. Power Hour for me. Only 1 hour in, 1 hour out here. 609-403-0973. The Whitehorse RV text board. Coming up the other side, we will wrap up the 5 o'clock hour. Don't forget, Hanging with Hennig tomorrow, 12 to 3 p.m. The full 3-hour tour is back on a Saturday on 97.3 ESPN.
You're listening to the Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
Never thought this radio stunt would catch on so big.
On 97.3 ESPN. You're listening to the Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
When I'm driving, I got a guy on the radio who talks to me. I can't see him, but he talks to me.
On 97.3 ESPN.
5:50 on the Sports Bash. Josh Hennig got you for the final segment of the Sports Bash. Final hour of the show here on 97.3 ESPN. Streaming live on YouTube. That's where Angie chimes in. Angie says, we missed out on Malachi Starks. Maybe there's a chance for the Eagles to get another Malachi. This might be a good omen. Yeah, for those who don't remember, the Eagles were very high on Malachi Starks, and then the Ravens, came in and swooped him up. So about Malachi Fields, a wide receiver from Notre Dame. Listen, I'm not against Fields at all. I think Malachi Fields is definitely a stud, as Andy McNamara mentioned. My only question with Fields is his route running is a little stiff at times. And it's like, is it stiff because he's still learning how to play the position, or is it stiff because he just is not great at running a lot of routes? Like, one of the criticisms of some of the wide receivers in this draft class, for example, a Mekhi Lemon of USC, a Zachary Branch of Georgia. Who's another one? Josh Cameron from Baylor. He's a guy that people love his physicals, but a lot of these guys, they are not great route runners. So it's like, are they not great route runners because they don't know any better, or because it's just in their DNA, right? They're just not that good, or can they be taught? So I would love to see, I need to spend more time looking at Fields, Malachi Fields, honestly. But I mean, if the Eagles drafted, I wouldn't be against it. I mean, the guy that I love personally is Denzel Boston, the son of Darrell Boston, the former Ohio State wide receiver, NFL receiver with the Arizona Cardinals and the Chargers. Denzel Boston to me feels like a guy who'd be like a plug-and-play replacement for A.J. Brown. He's 6'4", 210, freakish jumping ability, sneaky speed up the middle. But again, as Stephen Bender pointed out, if you went and said you moved on from A.J. Brown and you traded for Amara Harrison Jr., then you drafted a slot receiver, you basically just remake your offense overnight. But then the Jeff Summers point is, then what are you going to do about the whole Dallas Goedert thing? So it'll all play out. The draft is at the end of April. NFL free agency is in 2 weeks. So we're going to find out very quickly what is going on. All right, before we get out of here, I do got to mention last night, and we didn't get a chance to talk about it too much throughout the day here on 97.3 ESPN, but the Sixers and Flyers both winning on the same night, that does not happen very often, right? There's not many situations where both teams win on the same night. And I think there were two guys who deserve a lot of credit. I know a lot of headlines point out to Maxey and the night that he had, breaking the Sixers all-time three-point shooting record. VJ Edgecombe had a great game, not in terms of scoring, but in terms of doing all the dirty work, getting the rebounds, playing good defense. I think Edgecombe showed you last night that he is more than capable of being a contributor to this team, even when he's not literally scoring. And then the Flyers had the redemption game last night. Matvei Michkov with 2 goals, one of them being in overtime. What a win by the Flyers last night. Now the Flyers, they're basically holding off the Devils and the Rangers, keeping them behind them. And maybe for draft purposes, it's not the best thing, but I think it's good for the team. It's good for the team to start building morale, to try to show that they can find ways to win when they shouldn't, and that's going to help them long term. By the way, Flyers back in action tomorrow, 3 p.m. Tim Saunders on the call right here on 97.3 ESPN. Let's squeeze in Ray from EHC before we get out of here. He says, I'm not getting rid of A.J. Brown, not unless I'm getting somebody who is as good or better. You don't get rid of a stud for a lame player. I really like Dallas Goedert too. I feel like he was Hurts' outlet all the time last year. Yeah, as I said, the Goddard situation is very complicated. So I don't even know there's a right answer on that. But I hear you say about A.J. Brown, but again, the problem with the Eagles is they're in a tough bind here. Do you sell A.J. Brown when his value is the highest? You might have to. You might have to sell him when the value is highest. Thanks to Andy McNamara for joining me for the Power Hour. I'll be back tomorrow for Hanging with Hennig, 12 to 3 p.m. right here on 97.3 ESPN.